Hi, Lee. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, Philip. It's good to be here to try and give some good information about Dynasty and its projects.
Really glad to have a chance to talk to you today and learn more about specifically the Thundercloud project. Could you give us an idea of where the Thundercloud project is and the history of this gold district?
Yeah, I'll just share the screen here for a moment, and I'll show you where the property is in relation to other deposits in the area and some of the active things that are going on. Thundercloud is about 25 kilometers from the town of Dryden, which is just up over here in northwestern Ontario. Dryden is accessible by scheduled air service, and it's on the Trans-Canada Highway. And this area is a historical area for mineral exploration. Currently, there are several major gold projects that are in the process of being developed for production. One of them is down here at the Cameron Lake deposit of First Mining. The other larger one is up here, Treasury Metals Goliath deposit up in this area here. The Hammond Reef gold deposit is down here near Atikokan, Ontario. It's, believe it or not, a 10 million ounce plus deposit that Agnico Eagle control now. The old Sturgeon Lake base metal mine is up over here. And Thundercloud is sort of centrally located between all these deposits in this area called the Wabigoon greenstone belt. And it's accessible from Dryden by gravel road. So historically, there's been work done in this area for probably 70 or 80 years now. But the work around Thundercloud was first done in the late 1940s. There's been a number of large and small operators that have done work there. The most recent work that was done that was involving a significant amount of diamond drilling was done in 2008 and 2011, one by Teck Corporation and the other by a company called Laurentian Goldfields. And this property hosts a modest resource of about 200,000 ounces of gold at about 1.4 grams per ton, which is similar to the grade of the Treasury Metals Goliath deposit, similar to the grade over here at Cameron Lake, and a little bit higher grade than Hammond Reef. Of course, all of these things, grades can change depending on the number of tons you want to have, but it's an emerging area for gold production, and there's been no real heavy-duty, significant resource enhancement work done at Thundercloud since basically 2011, 2012.
Great. So what should investors be excited about when they hear about your developments in the Thundercloud project?
Well, they have to have a general, I guess, attraction for gold as a symbol of wealth and a hedge against inflation. There is a resource on the property now. Dynasty's objective is to enhance that resource and make it larger and get it up to the point where it could either be developed internally as a gold mine or possibly sold to one of the larger operators nearby on a merger or acquisition, which would, of course, give the Dynasty shareholders either a lot of cash or the ability to perhaps get dividends in the future.
Thanks. And can you give us an idea about the historical drilling that has been done on the property, including the 182,000 inferred ounces announced in the NI 43-101 resource report recently, as well as the additional 15 drill holes you guys press released last week?
I'll just share the next screen now with you on that, which is a screen that shows the details of the property itself. And just stand by here one second. This is a picture of the resource as it's been drilled. It's in 3 main zones. You see that okay there? And the Pelham zone is the main zone where the resource has been identified, with basically 2 main drilling programs. The red is the higher grade zones. The lower grade is in green. One of the issues with the Pelham zone is the identification of the structure that controls the gold mineralization hasn't been well defined yet. But the most recent interpretation has been that the gold zones trend in this direction, as we can see here and line up, and they have what's called a plunge downwards in this direction. And that seems to be fairly well proven now based on the database that we have. And that'll be the way that the thing will be followed up for future drilling by Dynasty. On the detailed property map itself, I'll just try and share this with you here. This is a detailed property map. The claim block that is controlled by Dynasty is in this brown outline here. It's quite large, over 5,100 square kilometers. And the main area of the Pelham resource is at the north end of this block here. And this deposit has a lot of similarities to deposits in Australia in the Kimberley area, which are related to a rock called gabbro or diorite, which is a magnetic rock which contains large amounts of iron. And the gabbro bodies that host the mineralization trend almost east-west in this area. There are 3 of them identified, 2 have been drilled, the southern one has not. And one of the issues with exploration and the interpretation of the geology has been that historically, the exploration surveys that were done here by past operators were done using east-west survey lines. Well, east-west survey lines can miss one of these zones off to the side by 10, 20 meters and never see them. And the program that we're going to begin with Dynasty early this summer is to survey this area here with an airborne magnetic survey drone system in a east-west line configuration, because the west contact zone, the second main target area, which is in here, trends north-south. So there's a change in the direction of the mineralized structures like that. And we have to have some north-south lines across the Pelham zone to better define these magnetic gabbro bodies, which we don't believe are properly defined now. So this block in red is going to be flown with north-south lines. The block in blue is going to be flown with east-west lines. And all of this can be combined mathematically with computer programs to give us a proper picture of what's happening. And there are some major structures trending through here. This salmon-colored area here is called the Thundercloud intrusion. And this is a characteristic of many gold deposits. They're often related to a younger intrusive that generates a lot of heat, that circulates fluids along these structures. And when these fluids cut across structures through host rocks that will allow gold to precipitate out, you get things like the Pelham zone. And iron is a very important characteristic, and that's why these gabbro diorite magnetic bodies are important. Also on the property are a number of these gabbro bodies that have not been identified or prospected in detail, and that'll be part of the work that Dynasty will do as well during the summer program.
Great. So you've highlighted quite a lot of opportunities for the Thundercloud project, and you also went through a little bit of a detail about the 2022 plan. Would you have any more details you want to share about what's happening in 2022 and how you think that's going to impact shareholder value for the stock?
Well, I think initially what we're going to do is we're going to do this airborne survey, which will take about 4 or 5 days, that's all, and turn around the data, do some interpretation work on the data, and then we'll be planning from that an interpretation of what's happening up here at Pelham, what's happening down here at the west contact zone, and we'll lay out a new drilling program. We're planning on about 2,000 meters down here on the west contact zone. Last year they did some trenching, came up with some very good values, up to 0.7 grams across several meters that have not been followed up with drilling. And so this survey work is going to give us a much clearer indication of how the structures fit and whether these mineralized areas can be either reinterpreted or just refined as to where we're going to do the new drilling program. But they've got 3,000 meters on the books planned for this area, 2,000 meters down here, and they're all going to be drilled into areas where we know there's gold mineralization. Plus, of course, we have targets elsewhere that we'll do some testing on for some blue sky.
Great. Thank you, Lee, for today's introduction on the Thundercloud project. We hope to get you on screen again shortly to go over what's happening in the summer as it happens.
Well, that'll be great. I think, once we get the survey finished, another part of the survey is going to be doing some photographic work so we can identify all the surface elements that are part of this mineralized area. And the snow is just about finished up there. The snow's almost gone. And we're hoping that the crew will mobilize in about a week or 10 days and have the job finished before the end of the month.
Great. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.